apoptosis.
Yeah. What is apoptosis?
It's like apoptosis.
Okay.
Or as the English like to say, apoptosis.
Apoptosis.
Always blunt. You were talking at a normal level, and then as soon as we start recording, you got to scream and scream apoptosis into the mics.
Is apoptosis when you make a movie about a bunch of middle-aged men, stoners usually, that don't have anything going on in their lives? Apoptosis.
I thought you were gonna say like, is that when you make a movie about a bunch of people who like leave the church? Apostatotis or something.
No, I was going for the Judd Apatow bent, but
yeah. No, they both work.
Bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
It was a little too high-minded for me. A little too high concept here.
Keep up, Lyndon. We're going high concept today. This is welcome to Mission Stories. My name is Troy. I'm here with our guest, not our guest, my co-host, Lyndon.
That's me.
Hello.
Hey.
We also have a guest on the podcast
Hey.
today, Theo Gibb.
Third timer.
The Third Timers Club. Oh gosh.
Show us your card afterwards. We'll stamp it.
Good. Yeah.
This is a momentous episode because it's the first episode back from
Holiday break
/
early retirement.
early, maybe retirement. It was hard. We weren't sure. I put the microphones away.
But then I got a letter from Lyndon that just said, "I'm back."
Yeah.
On it. It's really momentous. He had this big press conference and everything.
Yeah, there was billboards like leading up to it that were sort of like mysterious.
Underground marketing.
Downtown LA, a whole side of a truck was purchased to advertise it. So we're back, and it's been a while since we've done this, and
Some time.
listen, the people have been freaking out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I think at least 2 or 3 people have been freaking out.
This was basically like the silent treatment. This is a manipulative relationship.
Yeah, we're
Where we're like, we're going to give you the silent treatment until we think you care enough. And it seems
We're
like
bad
they care
boyfriends.
enough.
Make him want it.
yeah.
Treat them mean, keep them keen.
That's our motto. And I have that tattooed on my lower back. If you guys had to have any tattoo on your lower back or anywhere on your body, what would it be and why?
I have a perfect answer for this.
Okay.
I want ruler markings on my pinky. So that if I ever need to quickly measure something, I just whip out my hand and I can do something up to 20 centimeters. Or, I don't know how big is. I don't know. But
20 centimeters. You know, that's
20 centimeters? That's a huge pinky.
also blood type. Get that put somewhere on me.
That's fair. Yeah. Like, what was that movie they did that on?
I guess I'm not that original.
It was Mad Max. Mad Max. They would put
okay.
their blood type on these guys because all this sort of information about their vital organs so that they could use them, if they die, they know what kind of blood type they are.
The Mythbusters guy got a tattoo of a ruler on his hand.
Oh, well, see? Great minds.
Great minds think alike. Remember, I was going to say.
What happens if he gets old and his skin gets saggy?
He's got to redo it.
Yeah.
He's got to get a surgery to tighten it up.
Why not just
Did you
get
see
an
that girl?
actual ruler implanted right underneath the skin?
Now we're talking. It's a real transhumanist.
like a Wolverine situation with like a retractable ruler and a protractor.
I'm saying just like right underneath the skin, like you just got to stretch your skin over it. Maybe illuminate it.
Man.
And it's just right there on the forearm.
I like the idea of a Wolverine style.
Then you don't
like
have
it
to
just
worry
sort of-
about your age ruining the ruler.
Fair enough. That seems like it would cause cancer. Speaking of things that cause cancer, we were talking about that right before. In case all of you did not, none of you knew what we were talking about. What was it? Apoptosis?
I think the Anglicanized version is apoptosis.
Apoptosis. Okay. So that's what we were talking about. That's what that's all about. I don't know what that is.
Programmed cell death.
I was gonna say about the what was it? That's a functional tattoo.
Right.
You always hear about these like clever tattoos where it's like I want to put quote your name on my butt, and then people ask the tattoo, you say I got your name tattooed on my butt.
You're right. Yeah.
And it's just your name written down, right? But that's actually a functional tattoo. That could be like a whole new brand, a whole new subsection of tattoos.
Yeah.
Do you think they exist?
I don't know. Maybe you get like all the animals, Animalia, Plantae, all the divisions of that. Put that somewhere just for quick reference.
Yeah, like you could cheat during a test with it.
Yeah. What are they going to do? Cut off your arm?
What are they going to do? Make you keep your shirt on during a test?
Yeah. What is this? Communist Sweden.
I would get right underneath, they do those bottom lip tattoos. I would say, like, I'm allergic to penicillin.
Oh, okay.
Because every first responder is going to look there for it.
I thought you were going to have, like, the Pythagorean theorem on your bottom lip. So, like, in a test, I thought we were still on test tattoos.
Hamlet's first soliloquy.
Yeah.
Tattooed on my lower lip.
Tattooed on the inside of your eyelids.
To be or not to be?
That is the question. He was not German.
Close enough.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was pretty close.
Denmark's very close to Germany.
And there's something rotten in Denmark, apparently. I don't know. Guys, what are we talking about today? And how
Podcasting.
How long do we have you for, Theo?
As long as it needs.
As long as it takes. You have babies now.
I do, yeah.
Two
of them.
You have 2 children, 2 healthy, bouncing baby boys, twins.
That's right.
Do you want to tell the world their names, or do you want to keep that a secret? Is that a secret?
Their names are on Facebook.
Let's not dox these poor babies.
At this point, it doesn't matter.
Do you want everyone to
doxed.
know the address, where they live, what their sleep schedule is?
Yeah.
What their personal cellular
Feeding
numbers
schedule.
are?
Yeah, they...
Do they have phones yet?
No, and they never will. My way.
They will never be able to communicate with the outside
They will,
world.
if they get a phone, it will be a Nokia brick. They can make phone calls.
Yeah.
They can send text messages at the speed of 1 per minute.
Good.
By the time they're teenagers, they'll have cell phones implanted in our
Right into their
forearms,
skull.
like,
Yeah,
right into their
that's probably
jawbone.
true.
Yeah.
Picks up the vibrations in your jaw and transmits it to the world.
And they just have to think about the message they want to send, and it sends it.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah,
Just accidentally
Your thoughts
sending
are
a,
sent straight to the
Pictures.
government.
mental images you're sending to people.
like, it's,
Like you just have intrusive thoughts. It's taken to the newest level.
and it's really finicky, so it
Right,
is
like everything,
hard.
like every piece of technology, it's
Yeah.
buggy. So just think
It's
of
like, sometimes it's like you got to make sure you're offline before you think your really crazy thoughts. Otherwise, it's like you have like a live feed to your Instagram or whatever.
yeah.
What were we talking about before that? We were on
Nothing.
We were we were on a branch before that, I think. Anyway, no, your children,
Yeah, I got 2 kids.
your little cuties,
Yeah,
your little dumplings.
yeah.
I got a chance to hold them,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like a good man.
You did well.
I felt like my life had purpose. I felt like it
Wow.
had some meaning
Interesting.
for that like split. Well, I guess it was more than a second. It was like 10, 15 minutes total.
Right, yeah.
Maybe
I don't think there's any further meaning we can draw from that experience.
No, I think I'll just continue to live this life of single aloneness.
Yeah, it's working out super well. Western society doing very well. People are
Yep.
extremely happy
Yep.
nowadays.
Yeah, people are so fulfilled. That's like all we talk about now is
Yeah.
how like social media has made us so fulfilled, and life is just so much better now that we have like a bunch of really personalized ads being funneled into our brains at all times.
Entertainment has been effectively industrialized at this point.
That's so true. It is so true. What do you guys think about Netflix?
So the thing is, I like it. I can't really, even though if I want to rail against modern
too much.
technology, Netflix is kind of nice because you don't have to watch commercials.
Yeah.
That was the worst. You're spending all this money on your cable channel,
Yeah.
and a third of your money is going to watching commercials.
It's going to commercials.
Stupid.
It is
Let
stupid.
me watch what I want to watch when I want to watch it. The problem, though, is Netflix is basically writing shows by algorithm these days.
I know.
It's
You can
just
tell.
Like, all right, well, what do people like? Sandra Bullock, blindfolds, and I don't know,
A
atmospheric
Quiet
horror.
Place
All
was
right.
pretty cool.
Yeah, throw
Let's
it
do
in
one of those.
Throw it in the machine, and we'll see what it spits out.
You know
Hey,
that's
hey,
what
hey.
they did.
The book was written before.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, was it?
No, it was based
Yeah.
on a book.
Trust Lyndon to know that it was based
you
off
like-
of a book.
There's like a show on Netflix called Money Heist. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, and it's like a picture of money as the background.
Yeah.
It's
They're just naming shows after genres.
They
There's like shows literally called like horror case.
Right. Yeah, seriously. They've taken the technology from those Russians that make those creepy cartoons on YouTube for kids. It's like Elsa and Spider-Man shooting up heroin or something.
Yeah.
They've taken that technology and just made it a little bit more
for adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's slightly more sophisticated, such that we don't quite catch what is happening.
Maybe they have someone doing a little pass over it. They grab some student in a film studies program, just like make sure nothing really weird's happening.
Yeah, I have a pretty cool job. I like make sure that the algorithmic, productions that Netflix produces passes the Turing test.
Yes,
so,
right.
I've got here's a few things about Netflix.
Hold on. I had one more tag on that joke that I wanted to to throw in before we move on.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
I wanted to make. I thought maybe what if they had it's not gonna land how maybe it would have before, but I wanted to say it anyway. Game of Thrones-esque show would be like the title of a show. Okay.
Yeah, no, seriously.
You know what I mean? Like that's just the title.
Game of Thrones-esque show.
Game of Thrones-esque show. Okay,
Give
moving
it 20
on.
years.
Yeah. So, well, we're back to the natural flow of the conversation.
Hey, we don't know. Maybe that'll be a genre soon. Instead of calling something high fantasy, they're like Game of Thrones.
Isk.
It's like high fantasy, but with lots of sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a subgenre.
Sextastasy.
Brutal violence.
No, the reason I brought that up was I actually read. I think the reason I thought of that was I read that Game of Thrones itself was sort of the result of a lot of that kind of research, and they were like, "What do people like?"
George R. R. Martin was doing that?
Well, those were based on books.
It's based on books.
Here's the thing, though. Dang it!
Dig yourself out of this one, Troy.
Like, yield. You fool. All right, fine.
Well, the show is
Here's
adapted.
The thing, though. Yeah, that's the thing.
Like I heard season 1 is pretty much the book, and then
Yeah.
after that, it's all just loosely adapted.
But the way the books are written are kind of Lord of the Ringsy, where I think it just follows one character, like to the end of the story, and then they go back. Is that not true?
I can't speak to it.
No.
Never read
Have you read the books?
I've talked to people that have read the books.
I talked to someone who read the books too, and they said
and there's
this thing.
They told me the opposite.
It's like peak 2018 here. Like all of us have smartphones, you know.
We all have strong opinions about things we
don't
have no
read-
idea about.
We don't read books.
Let's
we
get
talk
back
to
to-
people who read.
Rather than talk about Game of Thrones, the
Yeah.
books, which no one here has read,
Yeah.
back to Netflix, what we think about it. Two thoughts.
Okay.
Did anyone watch the Fire Festival documentary on Netflix?
Yes.
Loved it.
Yeah. So that, I think, is a good example of how social media is ruining us.
Fire Festival?
Well, like, you saw the
The
documentary.
Fire Festival is a prime
The Fire
example.
Festival. Well, like how
No,
it
it's
was
true. It's
was
the
like-
appearance of things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like that it's all these influencers and they get them together and they fake
Yeah.
this big thing. It's all fake. Everything's fake.
none of it's real.
The crazy thing
Yeah.
I was reading the other day is there's a lot of influencers who are faking sponsorship deals because they know they
To
can't get
make it-
sponsorship deals if they don't look like they would competently
Right.
handle a deal like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are all these influencers going around saying, I'm advertising with this company, and to make themselves feel more.
Oh, we
more
do that all the
legit.
time.
That's
here.
that's
The
really
ads are fake.
interesting. So anyway, this episode is brought to you by what's a good
Blue Apron.
Blue Apron.
Get your meals delivered to your door.
And you cook
But-
'em.
But you got to buy the ingredients
and you
mostly
buy
yourself.
It's basically like grocery shopping, but
We could start our own. Buy from Green Apron, where
And-
you just buy
Mission
Mission Apron, where you buy your own
They
food.
sell you a mattress
and-
that comes in a bag, and you're gonna want to buy 6
and
of
it's
them.
got stains from the last missionary who used it. It's got like sweat stains,
Okay.
you know, like just where they slept, where 100 missionaries slept. What was the grossest mattress you guys slept on? Do you remember?
I don't
Did you
think
block it out of your mind?
Well, bless her heart, my mother bought me like the thickest
Bless her
mattress
heart.
protector.
It was basically another mattress.
Yeah, like it's just like she was like, you're gonna put this on every single mattress you sleep on, and then your sheet set. So
How big was that? How cumbersome was that to like take from place to place?
it wasn't as thick as you think.
Yeah, it's just gonna roll it up.
It was just like a nice,
Like a sheet.
thick,
Okay.
mattress, not a mattress pad, a mattress protector.
I remember this
It
one.
added comfort and a little bit of sanitation.
Did
I
it
think.
seem like everywhere you went, there were just jerry rigs like every apartment was just jerry-rigged up the wazoo with dozens of missionaries getting their version of it. Like I slept on this bed once where it was like a bed plus probably, and they're like single-sized beds, right? Like for one person. And so I swear there was like those foam, I think it was memory foam, plus like a regular foam on top of it.
It's only had a half memory of your body.
Yeah. So like the top half was memory, the bottom half was regular foam.
Interesting.
And I was just like, I guess this is what I'm sleeping on. You know, like I didn't change it. I just slept on what the last guy did.
You know, I did have that in my first area, but not me personally. My trainers had like a cinder block or a milk crate. I can't remember.
Yeah.
He had like a cinder block or a milk crate. I'm
As
pretty
a
sure it was a
pillow.
cinder block underneath his bed supporting it. And he was like, as a sacrifice, I'm taking this bed and you can have the functional one.
Yeah.
But that was just my first area, which was in the ghetto.
How did it feel?
Well, my bed was fine. I don't know how his bed was.
Oh, he sacrificed for you.
Yeah.
You didn't make the...
He was being like
hard.
the strong fatherly trainer, and he's just like, I'm going to take the bed with the cinder block holding it up.
You're like, thanks, Dad.
And I'm like, cool.
Yeah, my trainer did that with the bikes. He took the bad bike, and I got like the nice Trek, you know.
You guys didn't bring your own bikes?
No, I bought I bought a bike on the mission, and then I freaking gave it to someone.
Oh man, some down on
the
his luck
mission.
guy showing up in the mission home at the end.
I also regret I gave a watch away to a really apostate missionary because I was trying to show him that like I loved him.
Wow.
And I was hoping that it would change his heart. But the moment, because he had like this really crazy watch, like this was like this popular thing in our mission where you would get like this really colorful, big, goofy looking watch, and it was sort of like how you could tell the apostate missionaries from the good ones. And so this guy had that, and I was like, man, you need a more conservative watch. And I was like, here, take mine, because I think I had one. It was my last transfer, I think. So I give him it was sort of like, you know, end of my mission, near the beginning of his, and it was like, oh my gosh, he's passing down the reins of like.
Wow.
And then the moment he goes outside, it was like at a conference or something, he does some crazy thing that, you know, he's like, hey everybody, look at this, and he like takes out like this apostate thing from his car, and he's like, I think it was like a big stuffed animal, and he was like wearing it around the parking lot, and I was just like, I've made a huge mistake.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I loved that watch. Now I gave it to the wrong guy.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't have given it to anybody. Did you ever do that? Give something away that like meant something to you and then regret it?
I compiled a massive binder by the end of my mission. I called it my bashing binder.
Yeah.
And it was full of old Ensign articles, things I'd printed off, apologetics, you know, essays I'd printed off over my time.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, answering every conceivable concern that someone could have about the church. And I compiled it into this massive binder.
I have one of those too.
And then I gave it to someone at the end of my mission. I was like, here, don't let this fall into the wrong hands or something like that, you know?
You're handing over the tesseract.
And sometimes I'm like thinking like, oh, there's a really good article that I had from some ensign in the 80s that was funny or something. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know where it is or what happened to it.
How much does that bother you now?
Not much.
You're like,
I
not at all.
I would say I don't lose much sleep over it. It's just sometimes I think I kind of wish I'd kept it.
So you're not as petty as me, is what you're saying.
I didn't give away anything really significant.
I gave away a really nice tie and that watch, and I regret both of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I wear 3 ties on rotation now. I
Me
look at
too.
all my old mission
Same.
ties and I'm like,
Yeah.
am I ever going to wear these? I don't
I know.
They're signed by people. They have like nostalgic meaning, sentimental value. That's it.
It's crazy.
I regret not getting a Trump tie. And that's not an endorsement, but I'm just saying that I do wish that at the time
This
when it wasn't
episode brought to you
it was
by
just kind of a funny little thing. Like
Trump ties and steaks.
it's like, remember that I have ties made by that guy that's in Home Alone 2. Like, oh, cool. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I'd got one because then I
Not
could have
me.
had one now just for the.
I collected about 20 to 30 Trump ties on my mission.
Can you pull this a little closer?
Yeah.
Like just angle it towards your face a little more.
Sure.
Like
this?
like pull it sort of like.
Like this?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
That's
Maybe
good.
this?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
And it's
sorry,
interesting
everybody.
you bring up watch culture.
Yes.
So my mission
watch
had a
culture.
watch. Was yours? Were they like the big, colorful, like G-Shock watches or something?
Yeah, I think so. Or like whatever the knockoff. of
Diesel
that
was a big one for us, and Rockwell it's like a Utah watch company, and one of the guys that owned it, his brother lived in our mission.
Mm-hmm.
So if you knew him or knew someone who knew him, you could get the family discount on these watches. So
See, in my mission, it was all Nixon.
Yeah.
yeah, that was a big
That's
one.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Nixon watches was just big everywhere for everyone our age.
2000 and like
Did you guys have missionaries wearing those like
maybe.
the Oakley, what are they called, the gas can or the, you know what I'm talking about, those sunglasses with the big thick.
I know exactly.
section
Oakley
of it.
gas cans.
Gas cans. Okay, yeah.
I judged every missionary that wore those.
Yeah, that was like
it
a
was
thing. It really was like people marking themselves, you know, just kind of marking their tribe a little bit with some of those pieces of clothing.
It's like I'm edgy.
We know. Well, we had a
You know
zone
what the Book of
leader.
Mormon says about costly apparel.
Yeah.
You got them so cheap. No, we had a zone leader who wore white framed, blue lensed gas cans.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have no right to wear those in your position.
Yeah.
I was like, get those off.
What do you want, your whole zone to leave the church? Come on, man.
Take those off.
Take them off. Oh my gosh, yeah. I remember we've talked about like mentioning your station as your leadership status while telling stories. Who were we talking? Was that
was AP Brad.
Oh,
That's
brother.
right. Yeah, that's right. We were just talking.
I was just talking to AP Brad today.
Yeah, and we were talking to him. We were like, "Why? What's the point of bringing up, when I was zone leader or AP?" And it's like, well, sometimes it's relevant to the story. Okay, you gotta.
The context, like the fact
It's
that
context.
my zone leader would wear those
Yeah.
sunglasses was inappropriate.
So I was
A lowly
I don't know if it's
junior
worse
companion.
to tell a story that implies that you were an AP without
yeah.
saying it. Like, is it worse to avoid it and just have people like roll their eyes at, oh, wasn't he just trying to tell us he was an AP
just
without
say
actually
it,
telling us?
I was working pretty close with President.
Yeah.
So when I was AP, we honestly, you're kind of the most hated pair of missionaries. Like by majority, like there are those. You got your friends, and you have like really young missionaries who look up to you, and then you have like sort of your zone leader friends who are, and then there's like this big swath in the middle who resent you or they don't like that you're a leadership, whatever.
Or you might just not be a likable person.
Or that. Also that. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B and C. I just remember almost having like this confrontation. You ever see like those movies where it's like the officer on the ship and it's like a mutiny is about to happen and he has to like hold his ground. There's like this battle, it's like, hey, you can't, like, I just remember playing basketball once and we're not allowed to play full court. But we're playing full court, and I'm like on the court, and I'm like, I can't let this stand. We're like the arbiters of justice. And I'm like, whoa! I stop the whole freaking game, and I'm terrible at basketball, by the way. So it's like I have no clout on the court. Okay. I have nothing. Mm-hmm. And I stop the game, and I make them play half court, and people were like yelling at me, and so I don't know. It sucks. It kind of like you feel kind of hated, and
but if you hadn't been the bad guy there, either A, everyone goes away and says, well, I played full court with the APs, it's fine.
That's true.
Or they're like, I don't respect the APs because they didn't keep the rules. Like you cannot win.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be
AP.
the first one. It should be, we played full court, that's great.
They're the cool.
And there should be no other options.
Yeah.
Until someone rolls their ankle, then we're like, if only we were playing half court, that never would have happened.
The spirit left us when we started playing full court, and
my ankles got weak.
The strength of the Lord left me. Also, I wasn't wearing my garments while I was playing, so therefore, Satan came in and rolled my ankles.
We were also on the water somehow.
Yeah, we
were also playing on a boat with our girlfriends.
Smoking marijuana cigarettes. So
that might also explain it. Oh, speaking of basketball.
Yes.
the true and faithful haven't heard about my big plan.
Okay.
I have 8 months
Yeah.
to make the State Trojans basketball team at the age of 30.
Cool.
Yeah, at the age of 30. Is that a real plan?
Yes.
Or is it like a funny kind of thing to say?
I've
But
seen the movie Rudy. I don't know. It could
It's
be
a
something
thing.
like that.
It's a thing
Yeah.
I keep saying, but I'm also keeping my eye on when tryouts are.
Good.
So for every dollar
Good
you
for
donate
you.
to us, will be one workout to get me in shape.
that's a great idea.
Just kidding.
I was thinking like if and when we come back to doing this, because let's be honest, guys, there was a moment where we were like, maybe we'll just never do this again.
Yeah, fair enough.
And but yeah, we should we need to encourage people to subscribe to on iTunes or wherever.
Yeah.
We need to be telling, I don't know, follow, whatever. Of course, 30 people listen to this, so what am I, I don't know. They're already doing it.
The people who care, they care.
The people who care, they care. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit more, though. So what's your routines? You got some regimens you're sticking to. You got some diets. I know you've been
drills.
Nobody experiments with their diet more than you. I will say that.
Oh yeah, I've been on the keto now
Oh man.
for over 2 weeks.
Have you noticed any differences?
Yes,
Good ones or bad ones?
I'd say good ones.
Because I'm trying to
Some
do
good
that
and some
too.
bad. So let me tell you. Since now we're a fitness and health podcast as well,
Yeah.
I'll give you my anecdotal evidence.
Okay.
The carbohydrates, evil. But here's the thing. Maybe they're not. Well, the thing I know,
But
you know,
also,
instead of energy
a pizza
spikes,
a day keeps the doctor away.
also that. So energy levels, I don't get big energy spikes, but I also don't get any energy lows. It's all kind of just even keeled.
Keynesian dieting.
Right.
Okay.
Keynesian? Or what?
Keynesian? Whatever. Keynesian?
Keynesian economics?
I think you're thinking of Milton Friedman.
Who's the one that smooths the troughs and lowers the ridges?
That's
Look, I
that's
took-
Friedman.
Okay, well, I took a course 8 years
Monetary
ago, so
policy.
Don't hit
Come on,
Don't
Theo.
come out
I
here
don't know.
spouting economic
He's
terms.
trying to spout economics.
I was trying to get you
terms
to correct me.
I'm a graduate of economics.
with a couple of economists. Yeah, well, stay in your lane. Build stuff.
Yeah. If I have some questions about bridges, please make a bridge analogy.
Ask me.
Yeah, you know what? We'll bring you some physics stuff and say, hey, this is possible. Make
If
it
you
happen.
want to make a motherboard analogy,
Okay.
You want to
Sorry. Okay,
freaking
jeez.
tell us how much electricity powers a light bulb?
Look this up.
Yeah, you tell us, but you keep your
But
mouth shut about
don't
economics.
reference classical economists unless you know what you're talking about.
You keep Keynes out of your mouth. You don't even say Friedman's name.
Why do you say that name?
Don't say his name.
How dare you stand where he stood? I don't know. I'm just doing all the movies right now.
was I talking about?
Remember when someone we talked about Elizabeth Smart, and then someone
Yeah. They didn't like how
one of my ex-girlfriends
flippant.
Don't need to be flipping about that. Come on.
Well, we weren't.
Okay.
We weren't.
we just weren't 100% accurate.
we were.
We were
close.
there was some conjecture.
There was conjecture. We weren't sure about some things, and anyway. So anyway, she felt strongly about Elizabeth Smart, which is fair, and she thought that we were sullying her name, which we were not.
We were promoting her book.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Nice.
Liz. Come on the podcast. What a get that would be.
Yikes, yeah.
Can you imagine? Elizabeth Smart comes on our podcast.
Yeah.
What if? I wonder if we could phone her in. Should we try to do that?
I don't know. You probably
Let's
message her
know.
on Facebook or Twitter
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, let's do it.
Be like, we have a podcast that gets over 30 listeners,
Upwards of 100.
upwards of 100.
Upwards. And up and up and up. Well, okay. All right, so you're going to be a pro basketball player. Great.
Oh no, just Alberta College.
Alberta College. Hey, pretty good.
It's good.
I'm gonna
for you.
make the
Exercise
squad.
is good.
We aim for mediocrity. Not that team is mediocre.
All because I got accepted to SAIT.
Yes, and congratulations to you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good stuff.
Thank you.
Your future is bright. You're like, I'm taking economics at SAIT. This time, I think it's really going to work out.
This time, I think people will want to hire me.
Gosh. All right. Theo, you had like some controversial topic you wanted to discuss. Did you not?
I don't know. I had a couple ideas. There has
Okay.
been some interesting, church in the news things in the time since you've last recorded.
Yeah.
What about
Oh, yeah. Let's
what
talk
about
about that.
emails?
Yeah. Yes. We have a couple of.
There's a couple of emails.
I'm going to check that.
I know some people would be upset if we didn't get to their emails.
Let's look at that.
And then we
Theo-
can talk about Mormon white nationalism.
Yeah,
what?
maybe.
Guys, yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into the toppy tops. Okay, what
The tippity top.
not even halfway there.
Not even halfway there.
Okay, so yeah, we got an email from that person. I think we got one from another as well.
Well, we've been gone for like 3 months. I'd hope someone would email us.
Like one.
One or two. I think we got an email today.
Oh, is this?
I think I witnessed someone compose an email today.
Should I send you guys some more fan fiction?
You could do that.
Well, that caused quite a stir, Theo.
Oh, sorry about that.
Some of the more true and faithful listeners did not think it was very.
Who's that?
Wait, really?
It was very couth of you.
Whoops.
I thought
Sorry, everybody.
your mom sent something in. Did she not?
Oh no.
About the
About the
fan
No,
fiction?
just recently.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
I
don't check the email.
So we have one email.
Do you have it on like 2-week delete? Anything older than a week gets deleted.
You know, well, you don't think so. Did we read this one from Andrew about Josh's episode? Probably not, 'cause
Josh's
that was our
episode
last
was the
episode.
last episode.
So probably not.
Well, we got to see what Andrew has to say.
All right, so we'll read that one too. All right, and then Faith Admin. Oh, I don't know if we. So someone like reached out to us, and basically they're like, this is what they did. I kind of want to read this. All right, we're looking for brand reps helping us build our brand and following. We want to offer your followers one of our Come Follow Me lessons for Little Latter-day Saints for free.
What?
Using a unique to you coupon code. So basically, here's what they're saying.
We're social influencers.
They're like, here's what they're saying. We want to advertise on your podcast for free.
Okay.
And
Wow.
we want, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, okay, well, you can pay us and then we'll do it. But like, what? Like, why would I?
Curriculum book for Come Follow Me? That is the curriculum
I
book.
know.
Jeez,
These
these flipping
people.
priestcraft people trying to get up in here.
I know. Trying to make money off the church. Anyway,
And if
back
only
to
they would have
missions.
paid us, they could have got away with it.
All right. Do you want to read emails first, or do you want to talk about church news?
Well, I think the emails are we got to knock that out.
They're gonna spoil if we don't
You
read
say it
them
was just
soon.
one email?
There's two.
Okay. Hit him.
This is from Andrew Cacao, True and Faithful, talking about Josh Langstaff's episode, our last episode. He says, hey guys, glad to see the podcast is still going. Troy, when you asked Josh about his speech impediment, it reminded me of the Office episode where Michael Scott brings in the property manager who is in a wheelchair and asks him what it's like to be in a wheelchair. Not sure if it was an intentional reference. If it was, you're a genius. And it was, and I am. With all of the awkward breaks you're taking on the filmed episodes, you could insert some LDS-themed SNL-style faux advertisements. It's more than likely that these would become the highlight of the show,
Interesting.
which
idea.
might lead to real sponsors. Fake it till you make it kind of situation. We were just talking about
Yeah.
this. Thanks for running the show through the holidays. Yours, truly and faithfully yours, Andrew. P.S. When are you bringing David Hyatt back? P.P.S. When are you bringing Theo back?
Oh, it's
wow,
today.
Someone cared about my episode?
It's today, and you're back.
Aw, thanks, man.
He's back. What do we have to say about any of this? Okay, here's an honest question. Was I insensitive to Josh's speech impediment?
No.
I think
Here's the
only
thing.
Josh can answer that question.
I asked him beforehand if it was okay if we could talk about it, and then he said yes.
Maybe he's just saying the impression of it was like that scene.
Right.
Like it's just kind of a weird thing to ask someone about their disability.
Yeah. You're right, and it is.
Not saying that it's a disability. I'm just, in the context of
It
that
is
scene.
just, you know what? It's just weird to ask people about like things about
Yes,
them.
that's what I mean.
To them, you know.
Like if you say, "Hey, you have like a weird thing on your face."
Like, hey,
that's
you
weird.
got no eyebrows. What's up with that?
Yeah.
What's it like to have no eyebrows?
Yeah,
Hey, you
like
are tall or you are short. It's like, okay, great.
it's like, yes, I know. I should write an ebook about not having eyebrows. Just had a great idea. Note to self. Write ebook. Yeah, I don't know. Should we do some fake advertisements too? I was kind of thinking about that. I was thinking about like that might be a funny idea for like an actual, like just a whole separate podcast where you just like,
Another one.
yeah. A whole other podcast.
I'm selling an algorithm that will do all your family history for you.
Yeah, we might actually get some good ideas come from it. All right, and then we got one from the other guy who emails us, Alex Williams.
Hey.
He says, "End the strike." Did Troy and Lyndon break up? What is happening? I'm losing faith. When can I hear those silky smooth controversies again? True and faithful, despite your lack of faithfulness to your true and faithful fans. Oh,
Man,
that hit.
just pulled out a freaking sniper rifle
That
and
hit me.
zoomed right in on you.
That hit me. The three auto responses are what? I don't know, and wow.
Wow.
Send him back. Wow.
Wow. All right, here we go. Wow.
And then he'll hear the
and
episode later
Send.
and understand why you got that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, we're back, buddy. We're back. And if you have any thoughts, any just send them in. Email in, and we'll read it on air without pre-screening it.
Yeah.
And that's our promise.
Well,
Well, I guess not. Yeah,
I tested the limits of that one.
yeah, you did.
Oh, no, that was fully recorded.
Yeah, that exists somewhere.
Oh, great.
It was read unedited.
Should that be our first Patreon, platinum club thing?
It's like access to the dog episode,
Yeah.
access
Dog
to
Yeah.
Theo's.
Theo's
There are people who are just
dirty limericks.
who are so proud that they downloaded that episode before it got removed.
Remember when I thought that every time it said other on recordings people were listening to that it was that episode,
Yeah.
not the top 5. What a dummy I am.
Hey, we're still rookies at this.
We are.
We're still in our rookie season.
We're not even halfway to the top, and we're still going.
Yeah.
Um,
You guys want to talk about Desnat?
Let's get to Desnat.
yeah. What's that?
Okay.
Deseret News.
No. So it's a hashtag on Twitter.
Okay.
DEZNAT.
Yeah.
Hashtag Desnat.
Desnat.
And I guess a little history is useful, but if you're not familiar with Twitter, it's one of the closest approximations to hell that we have on Earth. Just as a just terrible place. There are some fun and interesting things that happen though. So basically, there were two big hashtags for a long time.
Okay.
There was Twitter stake,
Yeah.
and there was apostate. Okay, and I'm sure you can kind of guess
Twitter
what the
stake.
hashtags were used for.
Apostate.
Twitter stake
I'm at
was
a loss.
basically it was pretty catch-all, like everyone would kind of use that, but it was mostly active or so members of the church
Yeah.
talking about the church.
Yeah.
Hey, this funny thing happened at church. What do you guys think about this? Whatever.
Just a church-wide
Just a
Twitter.
church-wide hashtag. You could always, if
community.
you put Twitter stake on it, members would probably see it. And then apostate,
It's good to know.
I'm sure you can kind of imagine, was more for members of the community who were once a member of the church and now no longer
Ex-Mos.
found themselves a part of it. For
Yeah.
Are you
all
taking
kinds of
notes, Troy?
reasons.
You're
I'm like
apostate.
Okay,
Twitter's
but
Desnat.
so I'm on
Twitter.
Twitter, and some other people. There's lots of people on Twitter, lots of different members of the church, and I think a lot of people, myself included, started getting a little frustrated that Twitter stake was kind of being used more by people who were like oh, well, I'm a member, but like I hate everything about the church. There's like, there'd be a conference talk, and for example, Elder Oak's conference talk.
Yeah.
And people just come out after that talk and they're like,
Shred.
that talk was literally violence. That talk, was the worst thing that has ever been said.
Oh boy.
Just kind of over the top. Can't wait for Elder Oaks to die. I can't wait for President Nelson to die. That kind of stuff. And some of it's I can't wait. Some of it's, well, as soon as they're dead, everything will be better. Things like that. And everything in between. And like a lot of fine stuff too. But there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of just really antagonistic from within comments about the church. Well, as a member,
right.
I disavow the teachings, whatever.
Yeah.
So some people started another hashtag called Desnat, which stands for Deseret Nation. And essentially, the hashtag was meant to say, we are people who, above else, believe in following the prophet. So we're not conservative necessarily, and I'll talk more about that anyways, we're not conservative, we're not liberal. One person was like, never Trump, never Hillary, always Nelson. Like that was kind of the thesis of the hashtag,
right?
Where it's just like we believe in what the prophet says. If it's difficult, we like try to figure it out. But like we support the brethren, we support the church. Yeah. Don't study the ark, that kind of stuff. It's a very orthodox hashtag. Well, unfortunately,
hashtag orthodoxy.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, more orthodoxy.
But it turns out in the church, the people that tend to be more okay with orthodoxy generally also tend to be a little more conservative.
Oh no.
And the more people that you have that are more conservative, it just so happens in our modern culture that more of the people that think things about weird and different ideas about race and things like that also happen to be conservative. And so it's this umbrella that kind of catches a lot of people and puts them in one place. Now, having said that, when I interact with people that tweet with that, I don't use that myself, and I'll explain why in a second. I don't identify with that hashtag. But for the most part, I do get the impression that it's people that, they lean conservative, but they also like when the church says, hey, we need to help out refugees, we need to do this or that. Yeah. They're like, that's what the church says. They definitely tend to be more opposed to immigration and very supportive of the Second Amendment, like very American conservative traditions. Yep. But that's just how it is. That's what you get.
Yep.
And there's some that aren't, right? There's some that don't fall into those things. But there were some people that I came across that were very, and it's funny because it doesn't align with Desnat in the first place, because there's people saying things like, well, when they brought the priesthood ban, when they rescinded the priesthood ban, that was the mistake. And it's like, okay, well, that's the opposite of what we're saying here. Like we're saying follow the living prophet. So that's the idea. Well, then what happened was this hashtag started getting a little bit of traction because people were using it. And when people in Twitter Stake would say something idiotic, people in Desnat would be like, well, now, wait a second. What are you saying? What are you doing? This is silly. And so then it got picked up by some news outlets. And the one that was called The Daily Beast wrote an article all about Desnat. But they spent most of their article talking to people, ex-members of the church, and people who didn't agree with the hashtag. And so they came away in their article basically being like, well, Desnat is for the alt-right members of the church who are racist and they hate gay people, and it's basically a cult, which is a meaningless word anyways. And they, basically just tore it apart. Yeah. Said all these terrible things about it, which is part of the reason I would never use it, because it's like if my employer looks me up on Twitter, sees me using this hashtag, now when they Google it, it's like, oh, he's part of this crazy, this
neo-Nazi Mormon.
Exactly. So, I can't exactly. I use my name and face on Twitter, so kind of means I gotta
you're
be
one of those.
Yeah. Well, it keeps me. I think it makes me so I'm a little bit kinder. And stuff that I'm not picking fights with people.
You're accountable. You're personally accountable.
Yeah, I think it's important to be a little more accountable.
How much are you on Twitter?
Too much. Although I set an app on my phone now that limits me to an hour.
Of Twitter time?
Of all social media every day.
All social media?
Yeah.
Wow.
But before that, it was so much.
So, okay, so we're talking for the alt-right, we're talking like National Socialist and Mormon.
I haven't seen any like full-blooded Nazis like, advocating for genocide or things like that.
Yeah.
But I have seen people, I met a few months ago, and this was before Desnat, but there was a guy that was like a member guy, and he was like denying the Holocaust and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna step away from
Is
this
that
guy.
hour up yet?
Yeah. And then just other people that are like, well, the white race is superior and stuff. Like they just say crap like that. It's like, well, that's wrong, but okay.
See, my impression of it. Now, my connection to Mormon Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't want to say Latter-day Saint Twitter because that
don't
makes it sound official and
No,
real.
yeah, I actually don't mind.
It's
using
Mormon Twitter because
Yeah.
it's like fake and cultural.
Exactly. Yeah.
My connection to that is all through Theo and I think a little bit Tom.
Yeah.
So it's like I only see things that they like or retweet because I don't follow like any of these. Or sometimes my Twitter feed will be like, it'll say like Theo and Tom follow these people. Mm-hmm. And so then I'll see some of their posts. And I did see the Daily Beast article and how everyone was complaining about it. But my take on it's not like white nationalism.
No.
And if there's maybe 2 or 3 people who think that way.
Yeah.
But what it does seem like is like faith-based nationalism.
Yes. Yeah. That like it is just a hashtag. It's not a movement. There's no like meetings or we're not getting together. There's no leader of the group. It's just a hashtag.
Well, there is a leader of the group, President Nelson.
That's
Jesus Christ.
That's it. But yeah, like if anything, it would be all of us, no matter your race, as long as you're a member of the church or like members of the church, we're going to Missouri. We're gonna, if it was anything, it would be that.
The willing to go to Missouri, quadrant of Mormons.
I suppose that if the prophet called, they would go. Some of those guys, I guess, are in there. But it is just like saying, if we're any nation, we're the nation of the children of God.
Right.
Of the people that believe these things, that want to maintain a church that is more pure as far as what people believe. And I don't know if I fully think that that's necessary, but that is at least part of what's going on here. It's just like people shouldn't be afraid to say what the church thinks about something without being accused of being like a horrible person.
Well, I don't know, I've seen some of those Twitter guys be like, if you're not trying to have as many babies as you can, you're not part of Desnat.
Yeah, and some of these like,
and obviously, you can be like, hey, I'm having kids 2 at a time. So
yeah. I mean, some of that stuff.
Yeah. Are you
sometimes
doing your part?
They do. I would say they look beyond the mark. Like sometimes they do make rules where there aren't any. But it's everyone kind of does that.
So what is this, like the Fight Club of like Mormon Twitter or something?
I suppose.
I think it's just the backlash against.
It's the backlash against a bunch of
progressive
people
Mormons
that think that
all
they're
over
very
Twitter.
clever because they have ascribed to every dogma of secular liberalism, basically. It's like,
and
I'm so
claim
clever.
To be Mormon still.
Yeah, it's like, I'm so clever because I believe everything that academia and all these other people believe about all of these various topics. And it's like, wow, that's so original. Like, how did you ever learn that?
Right. Interesting. So they're like the most orthodox. These are the most. So like whatever the prophet says, they believe it and it's true and they're going to follow it.
Right. Yeah.
That's Desnat.
Yeah.
So what is this? Okay. So like the correlation or the overlap, that Venn diagram of like Nazis and very highly Orthodox Mormons. How is that possible?
It's an American thing, right? It's like if you look at what conservatism is in America, and like a lot of members of the church are in America, especially a lot of ones on Twitter.
Yeah.
They're in America. If you're conservative in America, probably in the last election, maybe you held your nose and you voted Trump, or maybe you enthusiastically voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And if you did that, then you're automatically connected to the people that really support him in a way, just because of the fact that you're part of that. And so, like there are some people that are like build the wall and do this and do that. And they do support a lot of those things. And they'll generally, what I find is they look at him and they'll say things like, well, God can use these broken vessels to, accomplish his will. I saw someone the other day try to compare Donald Trump to Captain Moroni, and I just almost had an aneurysm in that moment. I just really couldn't with that. But
is there? So you're saying it's like several degrees of separation, sort of between the Nazis and the Mormons, or is there actually like a group of like Orthodox Mormons who are also Nazis.
I would say that, and maybe someone would disagree with my
white
assessment here,
nationalists.
but by definition, if you claim to follow the teachings of the church and the prophet
Of
then
today.
of the
Yeah.
living prophet,
Yeah.
you can't ascribe to
Right.
to some parts of those ideologies at the very least.
Right. Okay.
Because I mean, even recently, when there was one tweeter, a purposeful wife was her name, and she was very traditionalist, very white nationalist, and the
I
church
remember this.
published a
Yeah.
statement that said we condemn all of these things. At first, it was just like we condemn racism and all that, and she looked at that and she's like, "Well, I'm not racist. I just think that we shouldn't live together if we are different races." And then the church came out after and was like, "Okay, just to clarify, we were like basically talking about you."
Just to clarify, F that girl.
It specifically mentions white nationalism in the statement. So it's like, if you're going out here saying, well, I believe that stuff. Okay, well, you're on the wrong side of the church.
Yeah.
And therefore, you're not the spirit of what this is.
That's good.
This
That's
isn't,
like
it's not supposed to just be conservative members. It's supposed to be members who believe in trying to follow the prophet.
Yeah. So I think if you're looking for the overlap, I do see the flavor. It's like a nationalistic movement,
Yes.
but like not white nationalism, but faith nationalism. A nation of faithful members.
And I did see a guy where he's just like, well, you're not going to, because he was kind of, one guy who's more conservative was pushing back against a guy who was a little more white nationalisty, a little more fashy,
Yeah.
as you'd call it, a little fascisty.
a little fashy.
Yeah,
A
and he's just
fashionista?
like, are you saying that?
I'm a fashionista.
He's like, you're saying that when the technical rolls up on your Latino Sunday school president, you're not going to go help him out? Like, seriously?
Yeah.
And it's just like the whole point of this is that we're all, what unites us is our faith.
So it's like you would favor members of the church over non-members of the church, kind of a thing.
Or just that it's saying, like, if it was a choice between your race and your religion, you're saying
You're
that
choosing
he was
religion.
chastising a guy for saying you're going to pick your religion or your race over your religion.
Right.
And so to push back against it a little bit, some of the stuff that's been said angrily about Desnat has been brought about by the people in it. They're very ironic.
Yeah.
And they like to make.
They are ironic.
They like to make very edgy, ironic jokes. Some of them.
In Desnat.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of the guys that use the hashtag like to post pictures of Bowie knives. They like to post pictures of Brigham Young with lasers coming out of his eyes. They like to talk about blood atonement and things like that.
Which is a power we will have in the resurrection, if I'm not mistaken. Laser vision.
It's just pictures of President Oaks with lasers coming out of his eyes.
It's always
like
the
that.
lasers.
It's
huh?
always the lasers.
Everyone, all
These
18
stupid
prophets.
Online movements. So
17?
yeah.
How many prophets? 17? Is Nelson the 17th?
Someone
Oh,
sing
I'm
the
not
song
sure.
real quick.
I don't want to sing.
No,
this
it's
song.
just- I don't know. I think it's 17. He's doing it. Do it out loud for our fans.
Monson. I think it's 13. I don't know.
I swear it's 17.
Okay, maybe it is.
Because I thought, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But basically, because they're doing these ironic, edgy memes and stuff like that, if you're not in the community, you don't know if they're being serious or not.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't blame people for looking at some
Like,
of that.
has it been hijacked again?
Right, yeah.
By the what did you call them? The edgy Mormons who subscribe
the
to
guys,
liberal.
They're on the Donald subreddit, and
Yeah.
they're posting Pepe memes and stuff like that.
What do you guys think about our history, the church's history with blacks in the priesthood? And obviously that's been a scar on the church ever since. Has that not emboldened, but like given, I guess, maybe emboldened or given some confidence to whatever small, group of people are both white nationalists and Mormon. Do you know what I mean? Like
They'll take from it what they can, right?
Are
But
they
it's inconsistent because it's like Joseph Smith had no problem with giving the priesthood to blacks. In fact, I think just this week they found the ordination form that was used for Elijah Abel, which was something that we didn't have before.
Oh, interesting.
Someone found it and was like, "Hey, we actually now have proof that this actually happened," which is really cool. But then Brigham Young didn't do it.
Yeah.
But you have that. At least there's one person doing it and one person not. So it's not like this was always wrong and then it was always right. No, it was
Yeah.
right, then it was wrong, and then you look at everything that's happened in the last 40 years, how can you come away with anything else but saying this is the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a shame. And it was wrong, and it was baseless, and it was, shouldn't have happened, but it did. So, the takeaway, I guess, is Brigham Young was a racist?
Sure.
I blame America.
I'm not going to say, why
or he was
happened.
in a racist, or America was very racist. Although, this was like Abraham Lincoln time, wasn't it?
Abraham Lincoln was pretty racist. Like, he believed in freeing the slaves, but he still believed that blacks were inferior.
He's like, but don't marry my daughter.
Yeah, like it's, sometimes it can sound like a cop-out to be like, the past is a foreign country, but it really is. Like, it's really so far removed from our experience that it's hard to judge someone for just doing the thing that they grew up knowing.
It's very true.
And, like, I guess on one hand, you would hope maybe that God could say, listen, you guys need to be a cut above everyone else. Like, I need to take you to the next level. But also, it's like, how many things does God tell us to do, and we just don't do them? We are unable to bring ourselves to the next level.
Yeah.
It might be kind of unfair to look at people and say, well, you guys just shouldn't have. Well, yeah, they shouldn't have been. They should have been smarter than that. But they weren't. And what do you do with that?
The whole present is like, it's like the John A. McDonald stuff now. And it's like, I don't know why we have to just flay people in the past. Like, why can't we be like, aren't we so great now?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like, rather than being like, they're like, oh, John A. McDonald was like a real jerk to indigenous people.
Right.
And it's like, but we're not anymore.
But we're great now.
Okay.
But we're doing a lot better now. And it's just, it's like, let's just go into the past and be like, well, boy, we're so much smarter now. Because we're so good.
Probably my grandkids are going to eviscerate me for doing something that I don't realize is wrong, that will be wrong to them, that I'm doing it now without thinking.
The way we treat our electronics or something.
Okay. I was going to say animals.
Animals, yeah.
They're all going to be vegetarian 60 years from now.
That's probably,
and they'll be calling me a murderer.
Yeah, it's like, can you believe they did that to cows and chickens? You know?
Like just a horrific person, just terrible. Strike his name from the high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't
Take down every statue of Theo Gibb. From his...
I think it's important to acknowledge the
Fast
stuff that
food
happened.
Consumer.
Like, you don't want to say that it didn't, and you don't even want to say that it was fine because they didn't know. It's like, no. This is wrong, and they're going to have to, or if they didn't already, repent of this stuff. Thinking of repentance as becoming a better, more godlike person. They are going to have to overcome that. And luckily, we kind of have in our culture, so we don't have to go as far, maybe, as they did, as they're going to have to go. So you acknowledge it, but you don't need to, self-flagellate and be like, yeah, we must still pay the penance, I guess. Just say this is our example, and then now we have to be better. And we have to keep that in mind, and we have to make sure that we're not letting this stuff happen anymore.
Do you think that, two things.
First, I guess it's rich of me to say that as
alternatively, Brigham Young was never wrong.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop it right there.
Well, I was going to say...
How dare you question the prophet?
That Brigham Young... And that's another possibility. Is it possible that, the Lord, knowing the circumstances of the day and age, that the church was in that time, was that the right decision, perhaps, at that time to do that? I don't know.
We don't know that. My opinion of it is that it was kind of them choosing to live a lower law than a higher law, and something that now we all have to pay the price for.
Yeah.
Maybe it saved them some short-term problems back then, but now it's caused us quite a few. It's a very difficult thing.
I think maybe I don't know if Brigham Young was a racist. I think maybe he was just a pragmatist, if nothing else. I think they had a lot of dealings with men who were quite racist and who...
It depends on how you define the word.
You know what I mean?
If it's
racism,
he believes that the white race is superior to the black race just because of the color of the skin. Then I would say probably he felt that way.
Do you think Bruce R was a racist?
Probably.
I feel like it's almost like his interpretation of that was more racist than
the fence sitters thing.
Yeah.
Well, but to his credit, he came away from that. He didn't.
He's like, nope, I was wrong.
But maybe he was, and sometimes I'm looking at it and I'm like, look, racism is bad, right?
Yeah.
I agree it's bad.
Yeah.
And I'm a white guy saying that, and probably people who have color probably think it's even worse than I do because they have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But like, gotta be careful here. But it's like, is it the unforgivable sin? Like, where does it rank in the hierarchy of sin to be racist?
That's an interesting question. Well, it's sort of like if we look at like what Jesus taught about like love one another and you know all that kind of stuff. I think it's pretty high.
I do too. I think President Hinckley was clear about how it basically cuts you off from the priesthood.
Yeah,
he talked about that and was very clear. Yeah, it's I think it's a serious sin.
For sure it is.
But there are a lot of serious sins that we have in the church that if we hear that someone did this serious sin, we go, well,
yeah,
you know, what you going to do? But with this one, it's like culturally, and maybe this is good, maybe it's not, maybe it just makes it worse. But it's like we look at the people that do this and we're just like, get out. You are not welcome.
I know. That was
and
the
sometimes
other thing.
Sometimes I wonder, and I don't know this for sure, but it's like, if you're trying to defeat this evil, what's the best way to defeat it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, then, what about... Because I feel like there's very few racist people. Now I say that because I don't know racist people. But then it's like, well, what about institutionalized racism?
That's the thing. Yeah, it depends on how you define the term.
Because it's like, we got to combat racism. And I'm like, I don't really know anyone that's like, this race is more superior. Like, it's illogical to be like the color of your skin or whatever makes you a better person than someone else.
Yeah.
So it's like, most people who think and give it a real thought aren't racist.
Yeah.
But then the postmodern progressives are just like, well, it's not about just prejudice.
Right.
It's about positions of power and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. If someone says, I support a wall being built, does that make them racist? Some people say yes, and some people say no. Or if someone says like, well, I support this policy, and then it's like, well, that policy disproportionately affects people of color. Does that make them a racist because they support that policy? Maybe they didn't know. Maybe
right,
they, it's like it's very complicated.
It's one of these things that like it all comes down to like what's in your heart.
Sure.
You know, like you can't even really know if someone can act racist and you're only going to really see that in the most like overtly racist things that happen to people, you know. But at the end of the day, like for by and large, all of us, most of us, I think we're not racist. And if someone is racist, it's like, I don't know, they just maybe keep it in their heart or in their head. But then if they don't act racist, does that mean they're even a racist? You know what I mean? Like, is it the thought or is it the action that really like defines someone who's racist?
And I don't. It's weird because it's like, how can I make that call to say that I'm not racist? Because what if I am? And like, I've had an interaction with someone of another race, and they've been like, well, that guy didn't realize the thing he just did is kind of like rude or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And that's part of the problem, is that it's hard to see it in yourself if you're not
got that blind
doing
spot.
that. Like, if you're not full on like, oh yeah, I'm a racist, like proud of it kind of guy.
Yeah.
A lot of people out there don't realize, they don't think they are. And then when people come and say, well, you're racist, the problem with that is that it kind of makes it so the marginal cost of like actually becoming a racist is a lot lower.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I'm already a racist for thinking this thing, why don't I just become a full racist then?
Which probably, it totally like emboldens those people who are like, you know, on the edge of society, on the edge of their social groups. And if they're already being, you know, told that they are racist, then why not just, you know, join that club?
That's what I fear sometimes with it. And so it's like, my thing is, I would love it if racism was gone. I think that some people are going about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Getting rid of it.
Do you think that to sort of like switch and talk about a related subject of like just the way that people are not persecuted, that's the wrong word, accused maybe of like someone does something wrong that's like maybe they say something wrong, maybe they have a bad tweet, they put their foot in their mouth and they get sort of lambasted for it. Do you think we're too, I mean, I guess it's a rhetorical question. It's like, obviously, maybe we're a little too, or are we too harsh against those types of people and situations?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, is it good to sort of like, do we need to overcorrect because it's been a certain way for so long? or do we just need to practice more empathy, compassion? Because like if someone does something wrong, we want to be like, for any one of us, we would hope that someone, people would extend the olive branch of forgiveness towards us.
I think it would go a lot longer than just the pylon. And the problems with these pylons is that they're always, someone does something bad. Okay, that person, maybe they apologize or something. Okay, now you have some people, reasonable people, that go, okay, thank you for apologizing, be better. But you have some people that are like, it's not enough. And every time if they ever do something bad again, it's like it's all dredged back up.
Yeah.
And it feels like some of that mechanism of the pylons and the like, you must flagellate yourself to repent. It's like there's this new religion that's developed in the place of the old religions.
Yeah.
And it has its original sin, privilege.
Yeah.
Right? And it has its heresies, things you can't say.
Yeah.
Has its dogma. And if you go against those things, the only problem is there's really no way to repent. There's no, they don't have
there's
a
no way
baptism.
back.
They don't have a repentance thing. It's just like
not yet anyway.
It's like you look at someone like Kevin Hart, who's apologized for the things he's said like 20 times, and you still see people just like, he's never apologized. He's still in trouble for this. It's
that's the problem with social media. Is it's like, how am I personally affected by Kevin Hart?
Great
I'm
question.
not.
Great point.
But do I know all about it? You bet I do.
Yeah.
It is so stupid.
And it's like, if he said these things like in person, someone might be able to be like, that's too bad. But he says it's something on social media, and now no one who's personally involved can just be like, look at this monster.
Like, remember when it was an international conversation because a teenager stood in front of some guy?
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Should we talk about that?
Oh my! Let's not. I mean, do we have?
We got
to?
the protesters, and then we got the Gillette commercial.
Oh yeah.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys.
Like, sometimes you're just like, man, can we get off this wild ride? Like, this is so stupid. It's all so dumb.
Yeah, where it's like,
why did any of us have to be a part of any of that?
Where it's like, crazy people go to Washington to protest. Crazy people interact. That should be the end of the story.
Sure, yeah.
I know. People, and then it's like, because like the story is that like, clip gets released apparently by like some Russian
Brazilian Twitter account.
Russian account.
Yeah. Probably Russian Twitter bots.
It was like, apparently they like sort of traced it back. It was like Brazilian, but it was also like Russian.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah.
So that gets released, and then it gets like published because people are like, journalists are in a race to get the thing as fast as they can.
Yep.
With as few facts as possible. And I don't know if
they have the facts. They have the video right in front of them.
Yeah.
That's all you need, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And
I have
so
a 2-minute video. I know everything that happened that day.
And to be fair, that kid looks like such a douche.
He does. He does.
1,000 years of patriarchy in his facial expression.
And he's wearing the MAGA hat.
People who said
his
they really
smile is literally violence.
They really need to cool their jets.
Yeah. His smile is violent.
Yeah. Do we really want to go down the road of like, judging how people are from their facial shapes and stuff? Like,
because it's kind of racist.
Y'all ever heard
right?
of phrenology before?
Yeah.
That kid looks like the patriarch.
Then over time, it's like, oh, look, we have this full video now.
Turns out.
And we can see really everything that happens. And it's like, oh, man, this kid, all he's really guilty of is wearing this hat that people hate.
And like the guy.
And like maybe some of his friends are getting a little too into it, but they're like freaking teenagers, man. I'm glad I wasn't standing there.
The guy with the drum came up to them.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
And then he just sort of like just stood there while the guy was in his face.
Picture you're a
beating the
16-year-old kid and you're like, all right, a stranger is banging a drum in my face.
Yeah.
And they're filming me. So
right. He's like, 16.
Okay, do I frown? Well, no, I don't want to look mad. Do I smile? Okay, I'll do a smile. Is that a good smile? I don't know. I don't know how to smile.
I'll smirk, I guess.
Well, like, how much control over their facial expressions do people like?
And someone's got a phone out, and now it's on the world stage, and
then they have to like discredit the guy with the drum because they're just like, someone's like, he's a Vietnam vet, and then someone's like, he lied about being a Vietnam vet.
Well, he did.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh,
who cares?
Lyndon, this is important. This man, because here's the thing.
He showed up to like a Catholic church a couple days later, walked in and started banging his drum. He's trying to do the same thing. He's like this professional activist dude.
You get these posts, like I'm sure everyone saw them, of like everyone needs to like bow down the knee and respect this man. He, you know, this.
Would you call him a noble? Perhaps would you say that he was being very noble?
I wouldn't dare say that.
I wouldn't dare. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like we get these things like, you need to pay respects to this guy, blah, blah, blah. These are all the things that he did, where it's like, I don't know, was that another Russian, account that made that, that picture? Did you see the picture that I'm referring to? It's just like
I'm sure I did.
The stat list of like all the things that made this guy just the saint and this kid a piece of crap.
It was possible to ruin Twitter anymore. I mean, that did for like 3 days. It was just like, please.
And you have all these like actors being like, he's a piece of crap, most punchable face.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you would like what?
What was he supposed to do?
You can't punch people. You can't just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's the whole thing. It's just encapsulates
crazy.
So much of what is happening, and you just know it's going to get worse, right?
Yeah.
It's like this is number 36, and what's number 92 going to look like? Of this, something that happens, and people, they both watch the same thing, and then they both walk away from it, and they're like, I know that my version of this event is true.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter if you have video evidence.
And it's just emotional, right? It's just like this. What's the thing in your brain? The medulla oblongata is just
gets
working
going.
over time.
Pushing those dopamine buttons, just like, I get to feel superior. I get to feel superior.
Look at his stupid white face and his MAGA hat.
Yeah, it's not healthy. I don't think.
Can we talk about the MAGA hat for a second? Like,
sure.
is that completely polarized now? Like, is that alt-right?
Well, it was two things. It was the MAGA hat, and it was the fact that they were at the March for Life.
True. Yeah.
So it's pro-lifer, Trump supporter. That is two little lightning rods.
They were on a field trip, weren't they?
Yeah, which is kind of weird. I don't know.
It's like a classic Catholic school field trip, actually.
I guess, yeah.
Go
It is a
abortion.
religious school, so you could see that being a part of that religious education.
Yeah. What was the other controversial thing we needed to discuss? The Gillette commercial.
Gillette.
The best of mine. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
I watched it without sound, and I was like, oh, this looks fine. And then I watched it with sound. I was like, okay. I think that it's guiltiest of just kind of being cringy. I don't think it's...
It's just a bad commercial. You know what I mean?
I just thought it was cringy. It was just like, this is stupid.
Here's the thing. Women love it. Men hate it. That's sort of the consensus I've arrived at, just my brief perusal of Facebook reactions to it.
Right.
It's women are like, yes, and men are like, huh? No. Like, it's a,
The impression I got was there were the men that were just like, this is like stupid and this is violence towards men,
and
which is stupid.
There were men who were like, this is exactly what we need.
Right.
Which I disagree with.
The soy boys.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
Here's my problem with it. It's just the most broad strokes, men are bad thing.
Okay, but there are men in the commercial who intervene with other men.
Only the black men.
No, one of the white dads breaks up the kids who are just playfully wrestling on the ground.
But anytime a man is being a creep, it is a white man, and he's being stopped by a black man. I have no comment on that. That's just simply what happened in the commercial. That's literally what happened.
When he calls the girl. But what about when he's like, smile or something?
Yeah, it's a white guy.
That's a white guy that tells him to stop, right?
No, I think it's a black guy.
Black guy tells him to stop that. It's actually like a chubby college bro in a tank top, and the black guy calls him out.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
which is fine.
I've heard.
I just saw people.
Who tells girls to smile?
Apparently,
he was
that's
taking
a thing.
A picture of them. He wanted to take a picture.
Oh, was he?
He like has a camera in his hand. Doesn't he?
No, I thought that was just like a thing. Like, I'm pretty sure that is
a thing too.
That guys will say to women.
Feminists complain about guys telling them to
smile.
I don't know how widespread it is, but at least when the Captain Marvel trailer and poster came out, there were definitely commenters, and it's stupid to pick out like 100 crazy people and say, this is what everyone thinks. But there were a few people that were like, I don't like it. She's not smiling.
Who smiles on? Think of a superhero poster.
No, and she fired back by photoshopping Captain America smiling on his poster and stuff. Like, it was very funny. But that is a thing that like women can attest to. Men being like, honey, what's wrong? Like, smile.
Smile, sister.
Smile.
As a man, I deserve more smiles.
Yeah.
Heck, I wish someone would tell me to smile sometimes.
I didn't think anything in the commercial was like, oh, that's...
Lyndon just smiled at me. Thank you, Lyndon.
It's just like people thought it was cringy and they said this is stupid, and then other people were like, "Oh, so you're sexist?" I'm like, no. I just thought it was dumb that a corporation has to tell me how to. Oh, well, so then you're saying that you hate the commercial.
Oh, you're saying
well,
you hate women.
I guess
and
if you want to say it that way, I just think
you're
it's kind of
sexist.
stupid. Oh, so you're sexist? Like that's kind of, and then it's like, well, then I guess I'm sexist.
I heard I think it was Joe Rogan had one of the best takes on it, where it's just like, can you imagine if they did the exact same thing with women, and they said most women are whatever the harmful stereotype is.
I did see someone say they kind
Some
of already
of you
do
are
that.
good.
A lot of makeup and stuff commercials are be more beautiful. They already kind of exist in a space like that with women. But
it's different.
But it's
It's
I guess
different.
the counter
These are moral judgments.
What if it was a woman
what I mean?
accusing a man, wrongly accusing a man of assault or something, and they put that in a commercial and was like, "Women be better." That would be ridiculous.
right.
That would be absolutely insane.
It's everyone's doing this. Some of you are fine. Most of you are doing this. It's no, not most of us. I don't know, 5-10%. I don't know. But it's the classic thing of men who are trying to live good lives, having this commercial sort of thrown at you, and then everyone's that's
you
right.
have to like it.
It's what? It's what did I do? I never told anyone to smile. I've never encouraged two little boys to rip each other's throats out.
I don't know.
Oh, I read this long, detailed analysis of the barbecue dad segment of the commercial.
Oh, yes.
And they were barbecue dads are the backbone of society, because who barbecues?
Dads.
Well, how do you know they're dads? They have a house. To barbecue, you have to have a house.
Yeah.
If you have a house, it means you have a wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and they're those are two boys of the same age and same size having a tussle.
Yep.
You got to let it play out. That's
for a bit, yeah.
Yeah, for a bit. That's boys have to test the limits of their aggression, and they're being supervised by a dad in a nice little plaid button-up shirt, providing food for his family.
Yeah.
And Gillette is just they line these up in a row and these are the worst kind of people. And it's they're probably the best kind of people.
Yeah. You know what, though? Look at us talking about them.
There we go.
Look at us talking about Gillette.
Commercial worked.
Deriding them, encouraging people to never shave again.
Yeah, and just
Dollar Shave Club.
There's going to be another Gillette commercial, not by Gillette, but another thing like that.
Well,
Yeah.
the parody
Just
commercials have been
wait
good.
for it,
We still got to make our parody commercial.
The boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. Basically, it's you really lean in on the little boy fighting thing, and it just gets more and more grotesquely graphic of little boys fighting each other, little boy battles.
Finish him.
It's
He pulls out the other one's spine.
yeah, just ripping rib cages apart.
Boys will be boys.
Gillette. Boys will be boys. Coming soon.
Well, and that commercial came right on the heels of, it was the American Psychological Association or something, publishing a whole expose on toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And so it was that came out and everyone was kind of already primed to have this fight. And then the Gillette commercial just is is this alley-oop just all right, here you go, dunk it.
Here's
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, a week later, Covington Catholic situation hits it. And it's just everything is awful. Please make it stop. Bill Gates, unplug the internet, please.
Gosh. I don't know.
Social media is a poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
And yet I
Can't stop.
I genuinely, when I go to open Twitter on my phone, I have an image of putting a cigarette up to my mouth. Every time. It's I visualize it just
Yeah.
here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Hurts so good.
Gotta hit those dopamine switches, baby.
Smoking those death sticks.
Got a confirmation all my biases, baby.
Confirm my biases.
Love it.
What else have we got? Do we need to talk about anything else?
I don't know.
I think we covered it.
All right.
I got a basketball game to attend.
He's got a basketball game to attend. Theo's got babies to
Got
raise.
babies to attend to.
You got to teach those baby boys.
Boys will be boys.
you gotta train those boys for battle.
I gotta train them to be in the parody commercial.
I can't wait for you.
Yes.
6 years after the fact.
Finish him.
Y'all remember that Gillette commercial that
remember that?
was the start of the downfall of our entire society?
Yeah, it can all be traced back to that. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on, Theo. Lyndon, thanks for pushing this to rekindle again. I'm going to encourage... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to make sure to have on the record that I do think racism is bad, and just please don't get me fired from my job.
Lyndon, do you think racism is good or bad?
Are we talking about benevolent racism? Just kidding.
I don't know what you're talking about. Just say it's bad, please.
It's bad.
For the love of God. Yeah, racism is bad. We're all on record.
Please, just don't get me fired. That's all I ask.
No one thinks racism is good here. We all think it's bad and evil. What else is bad? Should we just, like, for the record, state all the things that are bad?
Sure. Slavery.
Wasps.
Yep.
Slavery. It's bad. Wasps. Bad.
The Gillette commercial.
That
Gillette
Gillette commercial. Bad.
Toxic masculinity.
I will say bad.
Bad.
Toxic
Depending on how it's
femininity.
defined.
Toxic feminine. Anything with like toxic in front of it, probably
We'll say
not
bad,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. Toxic toxicity. Bad.
Toxins in the air.
Gamers.
Bad. Little boys fighting each other
To the death.
to the death.
Bad.
Bad.
You want to rule on just like a little tussle? Little
Tussles.
Tussles are fine. You need
Working
them.
it out.
Need them. You need them.
Got to test the boundaries of aggression.
It's like dogs learning how to play fight. You know, you gotta know when to.
Because boys will be dogs.
All right. Rate, review, and subscribe the podcast wherever you find it. Subscribe on, push that button. Do it, please. That helps us out. If you like this podcast, if you like listening to it, that's a way that you can support it. Heck, should we make a Patreon? Let's do it.
Now that there's more room, now that all those people left.
Yeah. We get on the sullied platform. I don't know. Okay, anything else? What else? Oh, we have these like dope mugs.
Oh, that's right.
We got to make some social media content before you guys leave, and it should include those mugs. If you want a mug, let us know. If you want to buy a mug with mission stories on it, email us and we'll set it up or something. Theo, again, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, no problem.
Lyndon, is there anything else that you would like to discuss?
I think the big theme today has been the toxicity of social media, except the Mission Stories podcast Instagram account is not toxic, so go to that.
Yeah.
And always remember to stay true and faithful.
Bye-bye.